Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I am a trained remote viewer. All of my psychic skills have been developed and honed and trained. This is my mission to present this information to you so that it'll be easier for you to make better decisions. Reality is created first in the other dimensions. That's why alternative medicine is so effective. You actually are sick in the other dimensions. Even though your medical doctor tells you you're not, nothing comes up on their tests, an alternative physician can tell you that you're going to be in trouble. You can have cancer in the other dimensions, which I can see too many times 2 years before your doctor tells you you have cancer. And when I tell people that, listen, you have cancer in the other dimensions, which means your energy bodies, I say that's the good news. Because if you go to the doctor, they're going to tell you you don't have cancer because you don't in your physical body, but you are on your way. Take care of it because in the other dimensions, it's so easy. So we're going to try here, in addition to changing the name of this nightly um, event, we're going to change the name to News from Other Dimensions, and we're going to do news. But we're contrary to the news that you get on the internet and on television. We are going to give you alternatives, options where you can change the news that we're giving you. Because again, it's easy to change the news from the other dimensions because there's no physical reality to it yet. That being said, we have been showing you many times the map that I did of Texas, December 27th, 2022, where it shows invasion from the underworld, and it shows all of these semicircles. It shows the northeast of the United States, a portal, that's the spiraling line, and South Florida, a portal. Then we went ahead and did, being it that we were apparently very accurate with these maps, we went ahead and did this map on the 30th, which shows extraterrestrials sending fire to the northeast. They have weaponized the elements. And the reason we were sketching this is because New York, the Northeast, and the East Coast, the entire East Coast, was in deep trouble having to do with congestions of negative energies. So we were able to clear the Northeast. And then 2 days later, our enemies, the ETs, weaponized the fire element as they do in the movies Avatar, and they sent it to the Northeast. This was on the 30th. And we did another map on the, I believe this was on the 1st. And the Northeast doesn't have that fire coming in, but all those lines that you see in the East Coast are cutting the East Coast in pieces in the other dimensions. So when I showed the map the first time, I told the story, and I'm going to say it again because it must be anchored, not to make me look good, because it certainly does make me look really good, even though the military knew that I was also what they call a prophet, seeing this, what's in the future, and it actually being what's going to happen. But the future is elastic and plastic. That's the reason for prophecy. You want to know where you're going. And if you don't like where you're going and you're going to end up there unless you do something, then let's get off that road. That is why I do these maps of the other dimensions. This is already happening in the other dimensions. You don't know it yet because it's not on the physical. Okay, so on the 30th, that map that you saw there, I said something broke on the 30th. And we saw that it was the ET sending it, but something broke on the physical dimension. Something broke. I said, and from today, within 4 to 6 weeks, there can be an earthquake epicenter, New York. So why would I dare to say that? Because I saw it, and because it's my job to tell you what it is that I see. And that way you can make yourself ready. 2001, I'm repeating the story. Breathe as I'm speaking to see if you can get it anchored, because we're not taught these things in modern societies. 9/11, 2 buildings were shot down, destroyed faith in the United States, our destiny, etc. Can you imagine how New Yorkers felt? Nobody in New York went into rage. Everybody put away their rage, which should be the initial reaction of somebody destroying your life. And it is, but we're taught not to express it. Everybody went into compassion. They swallowed their emotions, and the definition of the word emotion is emote, to take out, to put out. They didn't. They swallowed it. An entire city, and on 9/20, 9 days after 9/11, I had a panic attack. And when I checked, it was that I could feel a new fault line forming under New York City. And I said it on, I believe, Univision News, and I put it on my website, dates and everything, my name, the whole 9 yards. I said, after 9/20, within 4 to 6 weeks, there could be an earthquake epicenter in New York City, which is completely crazy. There was an earthquake. I said it was October 20th. It was October 27th. It was 5 weeks after 9/20, not 9/11, 9/20, which is when Mother Earth had absorbed too much of the fire element, which is the rage and the impotence of humans in New York City because of what was done to them with the World Trade Centers. So now on the March 30th, I said, there's another break. Something has broken New York again. And within 4 to 6 weeks, there can be an earthquake. Took 6 days. But that's because New York is very, very sick. In the other dimensions, New York is very sick. In Europe, they call New York City the city of hate, but they've been saying that for a long time. That hate is in excess of the fire element. And it's toxic. It destroys the protection that God gives us. And it's the basis for volcanoes and earthquakes. Okay. So today there was an earthquake, and everybody was, oh my God, there's an earthquake. I have not taken the time. I was too upset at the fact that I was right, because there's too many other things that are worse that I have mapped. If that came true, and the thing with 9/20 came through, then you know what? We're onto something here. Information is power if you use it. But if you go into the whole belief system is, well, how does she know she was a psychic spy? This is not a good person. I mean, how do we know? You know what? I was put in that program when I was born, not when I was 5, as I used to tell people. When I was born, I'm so sorry, but it was where I got all of these skills. I'm giving you information. You're not even paying for it. So why don't you, instead of being so critical and so non-trusting that you can't go to your heart center and go, well, at least she thinks she's saying the truth. And we have evidence. I have tracked myself. Thousands of people have tracked me. The government still tracks me. So where do we go from here? Texas. There's going to be a war in Texas. There's going to be a civil war. How do I know that? Well, they're fighting. Yeah, the governor. Well, that doesn't look like a civil war. That looks like legitimate complaints. But energetically, there's going to be a war. It's set up. So we have to work it, because the good news is, when you listen to News from Other Dimensions by Francis Fox, and you follow what the Mantrista movement is doing, because it was with the group, the Mantrista movement, that we were able to alleviate some of the issues with New York. They still got an earthquake, but it was not the big deal that perhaps it could have been. I made that so long, I forgot where I was going with it. We need to pay attention to Texas and not tomorrow. And it's not the eclipse. The eclipse told us that we have troubles. And the eclipse tells us that it's Texas, not New York. New York and the whole East Coast may disappear. There's too much hatred that's repressed there. Too much. But it's Texas that can take us down, according to my sketches. So let's go ahead. And this, of course, because we have energy bodies in the other dimensions. we know this before it happens because it's already happened in the other dimensions. So the last two times we got together, this group in this chat for peace, prosperity, and chaos, and my Mantrista group at 8:15 in Spanish, every time I sketched you at the beginning, very depressed, and it did not lift during the events. There was good stuff that was added, but it wouldn't lift because we all know that we're in trouble. But you can do something about it. Okay? And we're going to try to guide you there if you will allow it. Okay. I would love for those of you that only speak English to put some stuff in the chat so that I can know that it's worth my while to get out of my comfort zone to do this in English. Let me know you're listening. Don't let me know that you love me because you probably don't. Just let me know that you're listening. You're taking it in. That's all you have to do. And that, by the way, is what intelligence, in terms of the intelligence community, is all about. Gathering information. And they know there's power there. You should be gathering information. There's power there. Okay. Self-assess yourself. 1 to 10. Estella says it was in New Jersey. When I say New York, I'm talking New York State. I'm not just talking the city. And I'm still trying to figure out, because wherever the epicenter was will be interesting. Okay? And yes, I need to be more careful with my descriptives. Being it that if they become true, perhaps a word that I'm using too loosely may end up being misinterpreted. So, 1 to 10, how do you feel? And let's look at the gold dress, which is the second way in which you can assess yourself. Wow, super white and super gold. For me, except in the lower right hand, which would correspond, which yes, the leg, and all of us channels the female energy of wisdom. That's whether you're male or female. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the mantra for being kind of depressed. Give me a second. And this is the mantra that is the official mantra for the Mantrista movement for 2024. And here we have it. We're going to be putting up these news from other dimension on our podcast, which we have on Spotify and also on iTunes or Apple, whichever it is that it's called. We're going to do 10 minutes of this purification mantra that's like a vacuum cleaner. This is what, if they had done it after 9/11, there would not have been an earthquake October 27th, 2001. This is what, if everybody had done on the East Coast, particularly the New York City, New York, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area, New York City would not be described in Europe, not by me, as a city of hate because of the volume of the hate particles, which are particles of the fire element, which is what the ETs were inserting through Maine. Now, why did the ETs go to Maine to insert a channel of fire that would go to the East Coast? Because Maine last year had a mass shooting and they are angry. But I'm sure, knowing Maine, that they're very civilized and they don't run around screaming and yelling and processing their rage in the fire element. So they were broken and the ETs were able to come in through there. That's interesting because we worked New York. We didn't work the entire East Coast. Okay, so we're going to put on the music that's full of solar plexus, which is the garbage can of emotions. So it's appropriate. This is for clearing and strengthening your garbage can of emotions, which is your solar plexus.
Okay, we did 10 minutes of the mantra. Even though I hate, my heart is broken, and I want to die, I love and accept myself. It's a purification mantra to vacuum out emotions that you haven't emoted and that are inside and toxic. This is my sketch. It shows a collective group that is watching this news from other dimensions. There's just a lot of blue energy, which is a great energy. And the look on the face is kind of satisfaction, bliss. Underneath it, it says, "We're leaving." And I don't think we mean we're leaving the chat. We are in the middle of the ascension process. What we sketch appears to match the changes in the Schumann resonance, which I'm not familiar, not even remotely an expert, but has to do with the heartbeat of the planet and the fact that it can be measured and has been measured for decades, and it's changing. It's apparently faster, um, and our frequencies
in terms of our energy bodies are changing and everything is moving faster. And what slows you down, which makes the ascension process painful, is if you are very heavy because you have congestions of lots of traumas that you never processed, that you handle really well, you behave well, you earn good money, you go to work every day, you do what you're supposed to do, everybody's happy with you, but your frequency is low because you're carrying a garbage bag full of old stuff that you should have emoted, processed, taken out, and then your vibration would be very easily match the vibration of the heartbeat of the planet Earth. Now, the whole issue of what you do with emotions has been totally mishandled. I went to therapy for 7 years, talk therapy for 7 years. It was very helpful. I felt like every week there was somebody I could talk to, but the truth of the matter is, after 7 years, the therapist said that she really couldn't help me because I was just too intelligent. And that what I needed to do was find a show, a series on TV, and every week look forward to the new chapter. And that maybe that would help to keep me more satisfied. We talked for 7 years. A lot of you have talked. And then I went to therapy with people who specialized in trauma victims, prisoners of war, and torture victims. That was her specialty. I went to her and we talked for 2 years. A lot of things I couldn't even tell her because they were too disgusting, too horrible. The stuff that was I and others were put through with the government. Talk is not enough. Breath anchors trauma. And the breath that you use for the mantras help to release the anchoring and helps to breathe them out. And the specific wording is so important. The mind and words is really incredible, the connection. But that's not what this News from Other Dimension event tonight is about. It's about getting you more stable so you can make better decisions and giving you extra information. So now we're going to go into the main mantra that we're using, which is, it's an intention mantra. You're anchoring your intention. Please, God, help me with my intention to create miraculous peace and miraculous prosperity in the midst of chaos. We're going to do 20 minutes with a sensory therapy music video we put together for the Mantrista group that is the frequency mainly of trilling, which is the sound and the frequency of the human mind strings, which are the part of us in other dimensions that create reality. It's very effective. We have, so did you check yourself to see if you're feeling better? This is the mantra. I'm getting the music. And we have a couple of people on the chat that obviously are just here to bother. But we actually have a technique that we use, and we call it Plan B. So when we have people that are bothering us during our chats, and we used to have a lot because I'm a mind control victim and the government and all of those people really don't want me talking to all of you. And they would send a lot of people and do all sorts of things and pretend that they were part of the group, whatever. We finally realized we had to do something. And there were others that were just plain Christians that think that what we're doing is the work of the devil. And they would be putting on all sorts of things. And I would always say, it's not appropriate. You need to go to where it's appropriate, what it is you're doing. But we developed a technique called Plan B. And Plan B is that everybody in the group just goes ahead and grabs the spirit of the person who's bothering and takes them to the waters south of the island of Puerto Rico, which is very sacred waters. And we put them down there. We are in our spirit body. We get the spirit body of the person that's bothering us. We take them down there and we turn them over to the whales or the dolphins. And sometimes if it's obvious that they're like really angry, we'll grab them and we'll put them inside an igloo and keep them there. And we don't have a lot of trouble with, what do they call them? Trolls. We don't have a lot of trouble with them because we are able to make them go away. That's the power of the other dimensions. We're not hurting them. We put them in the water, turn them over to dolphins and whales. They're getting a healing. And we put them in an igloo. We're reducing their fire, which means they're less angry. So let's go ahead and do the 20 minutes, 2 feet on the ground. You should have your hands, if you can, in the Apana Mudra, which is you put the 2 center fingers touching your thumb. The other 2 fingers, just extend them. Then you put the back of your hands on your thighs, and you can watch how your breath changes and you get softer. Okay? Much more of your feminine energy, whether you're male or female, with this hand position is able to flow through your body. It reduces the overwhelming of the male energy. So we're going to do 20 minutes. And I will have another sketch and see if there's any changes for you. Okay. I only did 15 minutes. We're turning this into a podcast, and 20 minutes is entire too long to have music and no talking for a podcast. I apologize. Let me tell you about the power of intention. First, let me say that you ended up looking like this. We started like this. It says we are leaving. You ended up looking like this. And now at the end, you look like this. Lifted from horrors. Now that is the descriptive in the Bible about the end when two are at the well and one is lifted and the other one remains behind. That is what the dolphins shared with me in 1996 that would happen now, that many people would be lifted from the earth changes, natural catastrophes. The earth changes is the kind of stuff we're talking about, the thing that happened in New York and the stuff that's going to be happening almost daily from here on out. In 1999, I had a visitor from England. I forget her first name. Her last name was Fry, F-R-Y. She did past life regressions, and we decided it would be fun to find out what it was like at the end of Atlantis, right before it went over. So everybody that paid her for a past life regression, she asked permission if she could also take them to their past life, the one that was happening, because Atlantis lasted for like 20,000 years, I think. Their past life, the last one, when Atlantis was in the middle of all the explosions and was going under. And what we found was that people were lifted up in kind of like a bubble, which sounded like, come on, come on. But that's what they talked about. The people that were being regressed, they didn't remember that. It was, the information was only found through a regression. Well, maybe that's what this is about, being lifted up in a bubble. Now, I noticed that today, even though I was shaken by the fact that my prediction about the earthquake in New York obviously was accurate, I feel much more accepting of whatever it is going to happen. I don't feel like I'm fighting anything. I'm going to remind you of the power of intention. You have no way of knowing that unless you've been a follower for a while. Do what we did a few minutes ago when we had several people that obviously came in to try to distract me, etc. And I know there's trolls in all chats. I know there's people that are there just to vent their frustrations. I get a lot that are actually sent by different parts of the government that really don't want me out here at all. Whatever, it doesn't matter. They're interrupting. But when we do what we call the plan B, which is we take their spirit, our spirit goes and takes their spirit and puts them in the water south of Puerto Rico or in an igloo to cool down their fire. Remember, the ETs have weaponized the elements. On that map of New York, what we showed once we did the first clearing was that the ETs, okay, they cleared, let's enter through Maine and let's put a channel of fire because they know that that will totally destroy the East Coast. But when we do the plan B, when we have people in the chat that are trying to deviate the intention of this chat, it's interesting because they don't have to show themselves on the chat. Our intention is whoever it is who is not well intended having to do with whatever we're doing. In this case, we're having this chat. They are included, even if they never showed their hand by putting up a comment that was distressing. And we ended up, and I knew we had a couple of people, males, that were very contributing and they knew a lot and they were so enthusiastic, but I could tell that they were basically not necessarily from the government, but basically what they really wanted to do was to sabotage. And they got eliminated. We didn't do anything bad. We actually gave them a weaponized healing. But that's the law of intention. If our intention is to eliminate these enemies, the enemies to our intention in this chat, we don't need to know who they are. And remember that, because you're going to run into a situation. Well, I don't know who did it, or I don't know how. You don't need to know. You just have to intend that what you want happen. You don't even need to know how it's going to happen. You just have to be fully intended. So let's go ahead. Please self-assess yourself. Um, okay. And where are you at from 1 to 10? And let's go ahead and put on the gold dress, which I should have put on before I started to chat. Okay, it's very gold and very solid looking. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to address the big issue, which has to do with the Northeast area. So here is the map. It's not centered. But this is the second day. This is when we had already purified the New York State area, and the ETs put in a channel of fire to the whole Northeast coming in from Maine. Again, Maine was broken because they had a mass shooting late last year, and they haven't recuperated. So their aura is broken as a state. So it's easy to insert something. Please remember the movie The Matrix. Everything changes because they insert a tube in the back of the neck. Okay? Which channels information, energy. In this case that we're seeing in this map was done on the 30th. They're channeling the fire element, which causes natural catastrophes if there's too much. Now, that natural catastrophe has a name in terms of your health, and of your physical body. And in your physical body, if you have too much of the fire element, the name of the result of that is cancer, or high blood pressure, or heart conditions. Also, I believe lupus and other diseases. And how do you know that? Go to Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, and they will have that list. When the elements are imbalanced and what is too prominent is fire. And you will see the list of things that you can have due to you being such a nice and pleasant person, even when it's really not appropriate. But that doesn't mean you have to change socially. It means you have to have a plan, a technique to reduce that fire so you still stay healthy. And that's what we're teaching you here in these chats. Okay, we are going to go and take care of the New York City, which is not New York City. It's the whole Northeast. And let me find the mantra. And we're going to work on that for 5 minutes because that's really all we're going to have. You know what? I'm going to change it. It's not the East Coast. I want to do Texas because Texas is the thing that can destroy us all. Texas is what is, and we have not worked on Texas. Actually, that's not true. We have. This is an intention mantra. And I'm going to go back to the map. Okay. And there at the bottom left, there's an arrow and it says the trigger to a war. And there's the border. But it's all of Texas. Okay. So if you want, as you're doing the mantra, which I have here, yes, sometimes I cannot walk and chew gum at the same time. There's too much fire in Texas. Here we go. And we're going to put on the Agni music. Agni means fire. We have a video that you should have on because it reduces the fire in your environment. And it's really a pity that you probably have employees or family that's living in a fire-infested environment, which makes everybody very, very cranky and irritable and difficult to live with. And they may choose to be so nice and they just don't process it out and then they end up very depressed. Okay, so here it is. We're going to do 5 minutes. And visualize yourself with either a hose of freezing water, or visualize Texas gets real small and you put it inside an igloo, or the entire cascade of water is falling over all of Texas. In the other dimensions, you can make yourself tiny just by intending it, or you can make yourself very large. In this case, you're going to make Texas tiny so that you can manipulate it. You don't need to make yourself large because I think that would be like a little bit inefficient. So here we go. 5 minutes. Okay. You cannot have war. You can't have fighting. You can't have arguing. You can't have frustrations unless there's an excess of the fire element. That's shamanism. That's Chinese medicine. That's Ayurveda. It's not new on the planet. It's just not known and recognized, and we don't benefit from that knowledge because we walked away from all ancient knowledge thinking we would all end up living in grass huts. Well, maybe we will again because we didn't take that wisdom and continue to apply it because it still applies. Our galactic enemies know that. I think that's why there's such an issue with the government being open about what they know about the ETs. They're afraid of our reaction because it's a very complicated but also very dangerous situation that we're living. But our enemies know more about us than we know, and that I would like to have something of a hand in getting people up to par so that we can defend ourselves or at least know what's going on in this final phase of human evolution on the planet. Now, this was the second sketch, which looks like definitely something's getting ready to take off. And then the last sketch, which it looks like we're going to be taken away in a blue type of net, which is how it happened in Atlantis. Now, for those who are listening to this on podcast, these sketches are in the video, which will be on YouTube. So you can go to them if you want to see the sketches. So I would suggest that you continue to do the mantra and the visualization, which really is a changing of reality in the other dimensions, which means you change the reality in the physical dimension. And you can start it, do an experiment. You need to trust yourself that you're not a dummy in listening to me. So try it. Witness somebody who's not right with you, but a little away. One of your kids is arguing in another room, or you're in a restaurant and people are ready to go at each other, or at work. And just put them in an igloo or douse them in water. That's the water bucket challenge. They knew that we needed this, but they did not really understand how important it was what they were doing. But you can't do that on the physical dimension. So just sit there and witness somebody who's really out of control in terms of anger and put them under a glacier, put them in an igloo. You don't even have to do the mantra. You can, but you don't have to. And just watch and trust what you see. And join us. We'll be back here again. Today's Friday? Today's Friday. We're not supposed to be back till Monday, but I suspect we'll be back tomorrow night. We'll be here. And thank you for joining us.